Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. So this is what is drifting. So Google reckons that drifting is intentionally oversteering, which I guess is right, but I think as far as competition drifting goes, there's a little bit more to it than that. So in a way, the internet is right. The back end of the car is sliding out and that's called oversteer. But I think maybe drifting is more like the back end has no traction at all, the front end has full traction, you're in full control. But when you go into competition, you'll see something a bit more like this, which is basically where you have clipping points around the track, which you have to drift through. And they have 3 judges, and these judges judge your speed, style, and your angle out of 100 points. So you start off your run with 100 points here, and say if you didn't go deep into this clip, so you went quite shallow, which you're not putting the car where you need to because it needs to be deep into that clip, that's what the judges asked for. Then you're going to get points taken away, and for every clip you lose more points. Some other basic little rules are if your car straightens, then you've got full traction and that is 0 points. And also if you come off the track or you're drifting the opposite side to where you're supposed to be drifting, so if I was coming around this corner here, the inside of the car is supposed to be facing in the track. But if the car was facing that way, that would be called opposite drifting, and that is also 0 points. So what do you need to get 100 points? You need to be on the outside of every clip, and you need to be fast. Your car needs to be putting out loads of tyre smoke. No, these cars are not on fire. That is the friction of the tyres on the tarmac making it into smoke. And you just need to have lots of style, which is hard to put into words, but when someone's got lots of style in their drifting, you can definitely see it. So all this getting 100 points is all well and good, but you're probably thinking, well, how do you win at drifting? And this is where it gets more interesting, because you now put 2 cars onto the track at the same time. And you can see we're actually quite close to each other. And basically how this works is you take it in turns to do a lead and a chase, so you swap round after 1 lap, and you have to drift behind the other person and try and get close onto their door. So when 2 cars come around side by side like this, you've got to get by the side of them, whilst the lead driver just does the line they've always done, getting deep into the clips. Finally, out of these 2 runs, the judges choose who has done the best based on their lead and their chase. It's a combined mixture, and this sport is kind of subjective, and it's the judges' decision at the end of the day. So yes, maybe people might not always agree, but the judges normally have a really good view of the track and lots of free play cameras. So you may be wondering how this is all set out. So you do your qualifying, which is a run that you do on your own, and basically there's 32 people who qualify usually, and the person who qualifies first goes against the person who qualifies last. So you can see we end up with a battle tree that looks a little bit like this, and you work your way in, and then you have the final at the end, which is a super cool way of doing it. It works really well and makes some very, very interesting battles. So let me talk you guys through a battle. Now this is me versus David Goldstraw in BDC. So this is me in a pink team hard car, and I'm leading out first because I came higher in qualifying. So I'm trying to do the normal qualifying line, and he's got to chase me, and he's doing a very good job. Massive well done to David Goldstraw. We've been batting it out all season. So I'm just doing the qualifying line, trying to be quite fast. You see he had a little straight in there, and he's got quite good proximity here especially, and you can see trying to get onto the side of the car, which is the aim, and then I do actually have quite a bit more power than him, so I left him at the end. So yeah, pretty good run from David Goldstraw there. So now we're going to switch around and do the exact same thing again. Here we are, swapped over. This time David is doing the qualifying line and I'm chasing him, trying to get as close onto his door as I can. I do actually leave him quite a bit of a gap here because he was surprisingly fast. But yeah, he's just doing a qualifying line and I'm chasing him down. Obviously there's commentators screaming right now. If I turn the volume on, you'll hear Ian Woodrington literally
into Luca, they go down with the handbrake, has caught now, look at Max gone!
So you have commentators as well, which makes everything way more exciting. You can see I do have the power to keep up with David out of this last bit. And then the judges sort of right now make their decision, talk to each other, and you know there's 3 judges, so maybe if 2 of them say one person won and then the other person says obviously the other person wins, then you know it's a little bit different, but they slide whichever way. So you can see Brad thinks I won that battle, and Sam and Ben both think the same. So I got that battle, and that's basically how it works. And you know, you can also vote for a one more time, which is basically if it's really even between the scores, so it's a 5-5 each way, then basically what the judges do is they send us one more time. We get time to change tyres because we do go through them very fast. They can only do that once per battle, and then they run us again, and based on both of the battles, that is what they do. They vote who they think won. So in competition, quite often our cars do break down because at the end of the day we're sliding them. Why they're not supposed to be driven like that? Cars are not made to do this. Well, these days they are actually a little bit. But basically a 5-minute rule where you have 5 minutes to get your car fixed. Normally everyone in the pits just gathers around your car and helps you. Even the people who you're going against help you fix your car, which is really great, and it's something quite unique to drifting, is that we all want to help each other because we all want that battle, we all want the show for the crowd. But you get one 5-minute rule for the whole competition day, I guess, and you've got to try and finish your car in that 5 minutes, and then as soon as that's up, you're out of competition. So you may be wondering, what sort of cars do we use? We tend to use Japanese cars, which are super light, and then we put some massive engines in them, which makes for really, really light, really, really fast cars. And you may actually be thinking, oh, well, they probably have no grip. We have as much grip as possible, maybe even more than race cars. But we normally start off maybe in something German, like a BMW 3 Series, and then go into something like a Nissan Silvia or a Nissan 350Z. But there's loads of other things out there, like Americans start using their cars, like Mustangs, Corvettes, some really, really cool cars in drifting now. Now you may be thinking, how do you guys get into drifting? Now there's probably drift schools near you, or maybe a couple of hours away, but they're really good places, and there's probably professionals there to help you and to learn how to do things the proper way, which is always really good instead of just going out and doing whatever. Now one thing I'm gonna say is please only do drifting on the track. It's a safe place to do it, it's the right place to do it, and always wear a helmet as well, because it is very dangerous. Now we like to have I always drift a car with a harness on, proper racing seat, proper helmet, full fireproof suit, gloves, another thing called a hands device now, because you've always got to be super safe, because at the end of the day we're doing stuff like 100 miles an hour sideways, and it can go wrong very quickly, whether that's the car setting on fire or a collision between two cars. But it's quite easy to make mistakes that have big consequences, so please always wear a helmet. So what are the different levels of drifting? Now this varies from place to place, but in the UK we have this thing called Drift Cup, which is grassroots, and to get your way into that you probably just have to prove yourself as a driver really, and kind of be spotted by lots of people and be known to people as someone who can drift, and that's normally in around 200, 300 maybe horsepower cars, so not too powerful as far as drift cars go, and you'll go against people in similar cars at a similar level, and you work your way up through that. So if you come in the top 8, I think it is, by the end of the season, then you make your way into the higher class in Drift Cup. So there's 2 classes in Drift Cup, and then once you complete Drift Cup, then you go all the way up into BDC, which is the British Drift Championship. And in the British Drift Championship, there is the same thing of 2 levels, and that's called Pro 2 or Pro-Am, and then up into Pro. And after that, this is where it gets interesting, because then you go up into something maybe like Drift Masters, which is a European championship, or maybe even Formula Drift, which is massive. It's the American drifting. It's really cool. Okay, so that's a very quick summary of what drifting is. If you do have any questions, please do leave them in the comments and I'll definitely answer them. I'll answer all my comments, so any questions you have, please do leave them below. And hopefully you can like rewatch this video if you don't get any of it, and I'm hoping I explained it all well. It's quite difficult to explain. I'm trying to explain it to people when they ask me what's drifting. I'm like, okay, where do I start with this? But yeah, hopefully you guys get in. If you're interested in drifting, this is great, because I really like introducing people to the sport, and if you want to get started yourself, there's loads of ways to do it. As I said, drift schools, buy maybe a cheap car like an MX-5 or an E36, and definitely get involved, because it's just so amazing. It's so exciting to watch, and even more exciting to drift yourself. Also, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who watched and everyone who donated during the 12-hour sim drifting live stream, where I actually ended up shaving all my hair off, so now I look like this, which, you know, is interesting, but it helped raise money, so thank you to everyone who supported by donating, giving prizes, or just watching the video. It's super helpful. And also, if you guys haven't already, I'll look on my analytics, and loads of you guys that watch aren't actually subscribed, so if you want loads of drifting content and just see what I'm up to, please do subscribe. And also, if you enjoyed, it's really good feedback if you guys give a thumbs up if you enjoyed. But yeah, comment any of your questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.